Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is April 26th, and right now we are looking at the combination of Doppler radars here across Pacific Northwest. You can see some of this precipitation made it all the way into southern BC, into northwest Washington, so you can expect some precipitation as you go through the morning and early afternoon hours associated with that. A couple days ago, this system looked like it was going to stay a little bit further north, but here we are on the morning of this precipitation coming down a little bit further south than forecast. But in the wake of this, we are going to build a big ridge across British Columbia up towards southeast Alaska. We're going to warm things up through at least Saturday for much of the Pacific Northwest. We'll take a look at the extended forecast and see how long our bit of a heat wave here is going to last. Now, taking a look here, we've got the lower level water vapor loop. You can see the system rolling into the British Columbia area here, impacting Washington, bringing some clouds across Pacific Northwest there. And again, in the wake of that, we're going to really build some ridging all the way up towards southeast Alaska. Looking at the lower level loop here, you can see this cutoff low across the Pacific Ocean out there, kind of interesting looking as well. Low pressure system here across New Mexico, moving towards the Panhandle, is going to spawn some severe weather today across areas of Texas. You can see the ongoing thunderstorm complex here moving towards the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Potential for some strong tornadoes out there. Here we go with Seattle yesterday, 59 degrees, 2 degrees below average here. No precipitation. Quite a nice day. Had some nice sunshine out there. And we're going to remain below average probably today as well. Probably right around 60 degrees maybe if we're lucky for the Seattle Metro here. Then we're going to start to warm up here as we go towards the end of the month. This is if you're looking for a home weather station, very affordable option. Click on the link down below to save 10%. This thing has been holding its own against much more expensive weather equipment. I'm very impressed with this station. Here we go, 70-degree days for Spokane. We're going on a streak of 191 days. If we can end that on Friday, April 28th. Not uncommon to go through these big stretches here in the Pacific Northwest with days less than 70 degrees. Here we go, yesterday afternoon's European run. This is up towards 18,000 feet. Here goes the system moving through this morning and today. Then you can see the ridge quickly build up towards southeast Alaska here. We're going to be warm, very warm Friday and Saturday here across much of the Pacific Northwest. And we get a marine push west of the big mountain range, the Cascades, all the way up into BC here as we go on into Sunday. But we're going to get another warm day east of the Cascades on the day Sunday. We'll check out those details. Then look at this trough drop down over California. Some of the previous models have been showing some wraparound moisture coming into the Pacific Northwest. We'll take a look at what these recent models have to say about that. And you can see we may not be done with our warmth as we go on in towards next week as well. With the troughing kind of hanging out a little bit further south of the Pacific Northwest, we could stay warm or bounce back again quickly as we go through next week. This is looking at mean sea level pressure. Now, as I put this into motion here, you'll notice that system kind of slide through as we go through the day today. We build that high pressure up over the Pacific Northwest. There's a slide down over the Great Basin here, and we get what's known as a thermal trough. We get this offshore wind, some compression heating here along the west coast. You can see the stretch all the way up towards Vancouver Island as we go on in through Friday. Saturday, another very warm day, and then we're going to get that marine push. As you can see, that troughing move off to the east of the Cascades. We're going to bring some onshore flow into areas west of the mountain range there. And you can kind of see this low pressure and troughing setting up over California here. Maybe some wraparound moisture trying to move back up over Idaho, eastern Washington, Oregon. We'll take a look at that here in a moment. Now we're looking at 850 millibars. So this is somewhere up towards 5,000 feet. And you can see the thermal trough on this map as well. So the system moves through, and look at this warm up that's going to be occurring by the time we get on to Friday morning. Some very abnormally warm conditions there at 5,000 feet across much of the Pacific Northwest. Go into Saturday, that warmth continues here, but then look, you can see this next trough start to kick the cooler air into the region here by the time we're on into Sunday, cooling things down as this trough then settles down into California here. We'll have to monitor this day by day to see how quickly these temperatures bounce back as we go through next week. As you can see, some pretty warm air aloft still exists. As we go off into the further into the future too, you can see the troughing down to the south and some of these warmer conditions over the Pacific Northwest. But we're looking way out in the tea leaves at this point, over 10 days out. Here's surface-based CAPE. We're just going to kind of scroll through this quite rapidly here. So as we go in through Sunday, you can see some of this CAPE building up here as this trough approaches. And then you'll notice this diurnal cycle here as we get this CAPE building up during the afternoon hours, mainly east of the Cascades. But these systems can be quite tricky here, and it doesn't take much to trigger some thunderstorm activity and bring it over the lowlands of western Washington, Oregon, southwest BC. So we'll watch this as we go. You can see this instability exist all the way out into later next week here coming up. And you can even see that one. Look at next Saturday kind of showing up some of this precipitation across. Actually, this is Cape, but it would lead to some precipitation, potentially convective in nature here across a lot of the Pacific Northwest. This is looking at the national blend of models. Check out Friday and Saturday, SeaTac well up into the mid and upper 70s here before that potential cool down comes into next week. This is Portland. Look at this. Back-to-back 80-degree days are possible here coming up Friday and Saturday. This is the Tri-Cities. You notice that warmth there on Sunday as well, east of the Cascades. Before a bit of a cool down here, but still some pretty warm temperatures as we go through next week. This would be Brookings, Oregon today. Excuse me. And tomorrow should be the warmest days before we start to get a bit of a cool down here as we go through the weekend. Now looking at Eastern Regional Airport, Pendleton here, look at some of these temperatures. Look at Sunday, still up towards 80 degrees as well. This is for Boise, Sunday probably being the warmest day here, maybe even up towards 90 degrees for some areas. This is Helena out there in Montana as well. You can see the warm temperatures existing all the way out into next week. This is Portland International Airport, so check out the multiple run trend. You can see for several days now it's been picking out these warm temperatures coming here. This would be Friday, this is Saturday. Here we go, Sunday, Monday, a cool down showing up there, but then the potential for some bounce back here as we go on into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll continue to watch that closely and see if we're going to warm back up again here. But you can see Friday and Saturday, the warmest days here coming up for Portland. This is Seattle Tacoma International, maybe a little bit of rain even today for that. You'll notice it didn't pick up on this feature that well really until yesterday afternoon, and then the potential for that trough to bring a little bit of light precipitation here as we go on into early next week. This is looking at 2-meter temperature anomaly. So as we go on into Thursday here, you can see a lot of the West Coast warming up. Look at Friday, even more so. Some areas getting up towards 20 degrees above average here. Cascades West. Now we go into Saturday here, another very warm day across Pacific Northwest here. But then you'll notice as we go into Sunday, we're going to cool down a bit here. By Sunday afternoon, we're going to be noticeably cooler west of the Cascades, but east of the Cascades, quite warm. Again, look at a lot of these areas, 20, 25 degrees above average here on Sunday. And then as we go on into next week, things become much more muddy, which is pretty typical here. But you can see California much below normal and kind of a sharp cutoff here across Oregon into Washington, British Columbia, Idaho, and Montana here. So just where is that line going to set up and who's going to see the warmth on in through next week or the cool down? We'll have to continue to watch this over the next few days. Here's that 6 to 10 day probability outlook, and you can kind of see that below average across California, but above average across portions of Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. This is a precipitation probability, not much of a signal here, but maybe a little bit above average. And this is the 8 to 14 day again, and you can see that with the troughing kind of hanging down across California, warmer conditions across portions of Washington, Idaho, and Montana potentially there. But you can see some of the below average signal creeps into southwest Washington and across Oregon. This is the 8 to 14 precipitation probability outlook there as well. So here we're looking at the drought monitor. Here's Washington, just the extreme northeast corner here with some moderate drought. You can still see the extreme drought across Oregon. It seems like we were dealing with that exceptional drought across portions of eastern Oregon for a long time. That's finally been erased. Been doing all right here for some precipitation amounts, so that's why it's been cutting into that drought. But you can still see some abnormally dry conditions across the Cascades, for example. More on that here in a moment. This is percent average of precipitation. You can see how some of the Cascades have been well below average here. You're looking at 25 to 50% for some select areas, or even the Seattle and Tacoma metropolitan area there, just between 50 and 70% of normal precipitation. Seems kind of weird how cold we were across much of the region. Look at the San Juans there. It looks like below 25% of the normal precipitation across the region there. And even a couple areas you can see got, above average precip here, including some of the Yakima Valley, east slopes of the Cascades, maybe out towards the Naches a little bit further east. And this is average max temperature departure from average here from March 26th to April 24th. Look at just the entire state of Washington, well below normal temperatures here, especially compared to the average high. This is Oregon. You can see a couple areas doing all right here precipitation-wise, some of that drought area here, but a lot of the state still below average, and this was the temperatures here. Look at just basically the entire state well below average here. across all of Oregon, really. This is precipitation for Idaho here. You can see a lot of the state below average here as well. A couple areas maybe a little bit above. And this is temperature, just like much of the Pacific Northwest, well below average. This is Montana precipitation, kind of a mixed bag here. And then again, signal for the well below temperatures we have been getting here for the past month. So anyway, yeah. We got to fight through this system here. Then we're going to start to warm up tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday here. And then we're going to cool down Sunday, Monday. And then we may bounce back next week here across the Pacific Northwest as well. We'll keep an eye out for some thunderstorm potential here as we go on in towards next week. Also, we'll see where that threat is going to set up here. California is really going to cool down here coming up in through next week. Also with that trough really taking aim at them. So we'll continue to watch this forecast day at a time. Hope you guys are having a good day. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then.